I'm going to show you guys how you can use your medicinal herbs to make a herb tea, more professionally known as an infusion. And I'm also going to show you guys how you can use them to make a decoction. Stay tuned. Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Earth's Medicine, the channel that introduces you to the healing wonders of Mother Earth with a Jamaican flavor. So there are different ways in which you can utilize your medicinal herbs to reap the health benefits. But in today's video, I'm going to be focusing on two methods. I'm going to show you guys how to use your medicinal herbs to make an infusion, and I'm also going to show you guys how you can use them to make a decoction. So without further ado, let's jump right into the video. You know, I think that the medicinal effects of herbs are best when we use them fresh. And the reason for that is because when you prepare your own remedies from herbs that you grow in your herb garden at home, it is definitely a greater feeling of satisfaction. And I'm not saying that when you make preparations from herbs which have been dried, stored, and packaged properly aren't effective, because they really can be. It's just that the feeling that you get from being able to harvest your medicinal herbs from your backyard and preparing them yourself is extremely fulfilling.
The most common way to use your herbs is in the form of a herb tea or an infusion. And to do this, we use the soft parts or the green parts of a herb, which is basically the leaves, for example, or the stems, or even the flowers to brew tea. So guys, I'm going to be sharing two methods that you can use to make your infusions at home.
The serving size is 1 cup.
And for green herbs, the standard recipe is 1 tablespoon of green herb to 1 cup of water. And for dried herbs, the standard recipe is 1 teaspoon of dried herb to 1 cup of water. If you would like to have more than 1 cup of tea, then you would need to adjust the measurements accordingly. Another thing, the reason why we're using less of the dried herb is because dried herbs have been dehydrated, so that would make the medicine in the plant more potent. The first thing that we're going to do in our preparation is to put our water to boil. And meanwhile that is being done, we are going to wash that part of the plant that we will be using to make our tea properly. In this demo, I'll be using the leaves of the plant. After that's done, the next thing that you're going to do is to cut your herb into very small pieces. And we are doing this so that we will be able to get an accurate measurement. Then you're going to measure the amount needed. Then you're going to place the herb into a cup, pot, or container and pour boiling water over the herb. Then you're going to cover the cup, pot, or container and let it steep for approximately 3 to 5 minutes. You can also steep it for longer, even up to 15 minutes, if you would like your tea to be stronger. After steeping, you are going to stir your tea and let it settle. Then you are going to strain it and let it cool down to a drinkable temperature. Jamaicans tend to drink their teas hot, but you should never drink your tea boiling hot. You can have your tea without a sweetener or with a sweetener, but it's best not to use sugar. Instead, it is better to use a little natural sweetener, something like honey, for example. But don't add it to your tea while it's boiling hot, because that will destroy the nutrients in the honey. One more thing, guys, infusions should never be boiled. So the measurement for 1 cup using this method for green herbs, it's 1 tablespoon of green herb to 1.5 cup of water. And for dried herbs, it's 1 teaspoon of dried herb to 1.5 cup of water. And the reason why the measurement for the water is more for method 2 is because we are making allowance for evaporation, which tends to take place when using this method. In method 2, you are basically going to follow steps 1 through to 4 in method 1. So you will start first with boiling your water. Then you are going to wash your herb properly. And then cut it into very small pieces. Then you are going to measure the quantity needed. Once all of that has been done and your water starts to boil, you're going to add the herb to the pot, but just for 30 seconds. And the reason why you're doing this is just to ensure that all germs have been destroyed, and also to kickstart the process. So after 30 seconds, all you need to do from here is just to turn off the stove and steep as you would in method 1. And then just basically follow the rest of the steps right to the end. It is best to make fresh infusions every day, but if that's not possible, then you can store it into your refrigerator into a glass jar, but for no longer than 4 days, because after that it can lose its potency. So what exactly is a decoction? Basically, with a decoction, we are extracting the mineral salts and bitter principles of plants and using the harder parts of them. And we make them by boiling herbs in water for a
considerable length of time. And the reason for that is because it would require a longer time to extract the active ingredients from these parts of the plant. So we're going to use materials like our roots, barks, seeds, etc. to make our decoctions. For 1 cup of a decoction tea, the correct measurement is 1 tablespoon of the root, bark, or other hard area of the plant to 1 cup of water. And for the purpose of this video, I will be using the root of the plant. Firstly, we are going to wash that area of the plant properly. Then we are going to cut it into smaller pieces. This will facilitate an accurate measurement, and it will also help with extracting the active ingredients properly. Then you are going to measure the quantity needed. And once that's done, you can place the quantity needed into a pot along with the water. Then cover the pot and allow it to boil for half of an hour. Then turn off the flame and allow it to stand and steep for another half of an hour. Once that's done, you can go ahead and strain it. Then allow it to cool down to a drinkable temperature. At this point, you can either have it as is, or you can use a natural sweetener, such as honey, for example. And then you can just go ahead and drink it. Because the hard parts of a plant tends to be stronger than the soft parts of a plant, the dosage is 1 tablespoon twice daily. If you so desire, you can make extra batches and store it into a glass jar into the refrigerator for future use. However, ensure that you do not store it for longer than a week. Okay guys, I would like to leave you with some precautions before I exit this video, and there is so much more to this, but I will definitely have to make another video just for this. For now, here are a few considerations. The fact that medicinal herbs are natural does not automatically make them safe for us, because the truth is that the long-term effects of drinking many Jamaican quote-unquote bush teas are really not yet known. So they may be toxic and dangerous to us if we take them continuously. And for this reason too, we should avoid overdosing on herb teas by also sticking to appropriate measurements and dosages. And lastly, aluminum wares should never be used to make infusions, and decoctions. Instead, it is best to use enamel, steel pots, or percolators.